Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you came to this video because you're looking for Compustar wiring information, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna get to the install in just a second. But first, if you found yourself here, consider liking and subscribing. I have a lot of content coming for the Duramax, the Avalanche, the R8 that's in the background there, and the Grand National. So tune in. So quick update on the GMC Sierra. So on the Duramax, I've been looking to get keyless entry working. So I picked up a factory remote on Amazon. Now, this one has the remote starter button in the middle. I don't expect that to work, obviously, but I do expect lock and unlock to work, and this is the quickest I can get it here if I got that function. So here is how you train your car how to accept new remotes. All right, so ignition on. I have the work truck, so I don't have the 3 buttons on the right. And what we're looking for is right down here. Let me turn off the AC. All right, so I will be pressing this button until relearn remote comes up. All right, then I'm gonna press and hold. Now I'm going to press and hold the lock and unlock buttons for 15 seconds. Sounds like I picked it up. All right, so what you see here is a Compustar T13 Pro RFX. I also have the DC3 module and the GM10 T-harness. And all of this is going to be installed in my 08 GMC Sierra. This is the work truck. It has a key fob for driver lock and unlock, and pretty much nothing else. It's a real base model truck. Now, I'm going to show you 4 sheets. Feel free to pause it if you want to take a closer look at it, but I've also included the install guide. Now, we'll be using the T-harness, so there won't be cutting and splicing required. And here's a list of features that should be supported by the Compustar. Here's the programming procedure in case you're looking to get that implemented once we complete the installation. And here's a diagram on how to plug in the module. All right, so what you see on the bottom of this is the DC3. Up top is the First Tech module. This will allow cell phone interfacing. We have our antenna that we're going to mount underneath the dashboard or on the windshield, probably underneath the dashboard. I like a stealth installation. And down here is the T-harness. So you'll be interfacing with 2 ignition connector components. You can see right here that you can go right to the key switch and to the PK3 connector. They're all right by the steering wheel underneath that clamshell. In case you need a hood latch pin, you can install one, but I believe this truck has one on it. I just have to find the right wire to tie into. We're looking for a ground when, I'm not sure if it's normally open or normally closed, but we'll get to that in a moment. Here's some additional wires in case you want auxiliary inputs or outputs. But in order to get the module to work, you basically have everything you need right here. Now, don't mind this extra strand of wire. For my install, that's not required. And then finally, there's a transmission loop. So in case you have a manual transmission, you have to leave this loop connected. But if you have an automatic, you can disconnect it by cutting it. Also included, 1 LED or LCD remote and one button. Really cool interface how to have everything set up. You really get the most for what you're trying to do. Now, the feature that really interested me in this is the proximity unlock. I want to be able to walk up to my truck, and before I even touch the door handle, I want it to unlock. So that was something that was really important to me, and you can only get it on one of two models, the T13 being one of them. Between that and the LCD, it was really important that I have that, so I ended up getting this, and I got it from Boomer Nashua. They are a small shop out in New Hampshire, so please give them your business. I was speaking to, I believe it was Jamie, and he was very helpful in getting me what I needed and getting it fast. So shout out to them. So without further ado, we will get a little bit closer, go inside, and get this hooked up. All right, so I've got the lower section of the dashboard off, and there's going to be a couple of things that's going to make this installation really easy. One is that that harness here. Because we have basically a splitter or a Y cable harness, we have sections that's going to go back to the truck, and we have sections that's going to plug into the two sensors that are in the ignition system. So that'll be easy. But I did mention earlier that there are cables that we need to install under the dash. We're going to need to interface with the horn wire, and I found that one right here. It's plugging, I'm sorry, this is not the right one. This is the right one here. So this plugs into the lower clock spring. It's the tan wire. I've looked it up and confirmed with the wiring diagram, and nothing happens. So for certain, the tan one is a negative output that we're looking for. Moving on down here, these are two of the BCM connections. So parking lights and what's that second connector? Driver door pin are going to be the two wires that we can tap into there. And then I had to run a new connection for my hood pin switch, because basically this truck does not have one. The Avalanche has a sensor in the latch that tells it when the hood is open or not. And if you have a GM truck of this sort, you can tell real easily by popping your hood. And take a good look at your hood latch. So as you can see, this one does not have an electrical connection coming out of it. So by that token, there is no factory installed hood latch switch. If you have factory remote start, chances are you do have one installed, but this being a base model truck, wasn't totally surprised. So I'll make the connections to the driver door pin, the parking lights, and the horn, and we'll move on from there. So just a quick note, you have two plugs that are going to here and right here, and these are the two harnesses that we're going to interface with for the Y cable. Now it's important, if you see that red tab on here, you got to pry it back, because it'll come fully flush against the back of that black part. So you want to stick a small screwdriver or pick tool in here to separate it like so, and then you'll be able to push this down and move it out. So once you have all that, you're going to bring it back around here, out from here, right here. You're going to break this tiny zip tie that's right there, and then you're going to start connecting your wires here. Now the place where I mounted it, the main unit is going to be right here, and I've passed the wires through underneath the dash, so it'll be really clean. And we'll interface with these and pop the new ones back over there. Here goes. All right, and just like that, we are ready. So I have my extra wires bundled up here. Just take a note for all of the white zip ties. I've used white this time so you can easily see how everything is laid out. So extra input and output wires that aren't used are tucked in right here. Both First Tech and remote start units are together and zip tied and secured here. There's also a zip tie on the back side that you can't see. I ran my antenna wire up here. My extra bundle is zip tied here, and the actual antenna is back here. So really secure connection, a few zip ties along that route to make sure that everything stays protected. I have my connection to my horn right down here. I've included a stress loop right here, so in case there's any tugging on the wire, then it's not going to affect the connection. I like to do stress loops whenever there's a risk of that. The Y cable that we installed to the PK3 and the ignition, it's all routed right around here. I've reused this zip tie right here, and everything is just nice and neat here. Those new connection points are installed here and here. You can see the VS label that comes with the Compustar harness. So that's pretty much it. Nice, neat, and we are ready to start programming. So let me show you how that goes. All right, so now I'm gonna start off with the module programming procedure. I've got my key in the ignition. For this, I'll also need to be able to lock and unlock doors, so I'm going to use the standard key fob. And I need to be able to see the module as it's being programmed. So I'll be looking at all three of those things while I'm doing this. All right, so it's the next day and I finally finished everything on the truck. I'm walking up to it now. I've got my remote in hand. I'll even put it in my pocket. Let's see if the proximity sensor works. So here it is, walking up to it. Let's see. Works. Look at that. I'm able to get in, no problem. Let me show you what the final assembly under the dash looks like. All right. So you saw earlier how my routing of my wires was from the PK3 and ignition over. I've gotten my horn hooked up here, my BCM wires hooked up, and everything comes over here. So I have to tuck this up and in this slot, and then I'll be done. Now, I did have to reset the module for the programming. I did it a couple of times, and I finally got it right. So one thing that isn't covered on is how to reset it. So if you need to reset programming, here's what you do. You unplug this wire harness. This supplies the main power to the unit. So you disconnect this, you push and hold the programming button down here. And as you're pushing and holding it, you'll plug that back in. You'll start to see LED light 1 and 2 flash rapidly. And as soon as you see it flashing, you can release the button and then you'll be set to start the process again. If some of you noticed a little bit earlier in the video when I was showing underneath the steering wheel, I had cut wires for my gear shifter and tow button. So I just spent some time to put that back together. Just splicing, soldering, and heat shrink. So now it's back together. We'll get that installed as well. All right, with that installed, let's see. Here's my tow button. All right, tow mode is working. Let's shift it into manual mode. All right, my switches are working now. You're seeing 1 and 2 switch off, so all that's working. Let's see if it'll remote start. All right, got my remote in hand. I'll lock it. I'll start it. That's my confirmation that it started. I'll stop it. And I'll unlock. You gotta unlock by pressing twice or just walking up to it. Perfect. I'll lock that back. And if I want to walk up to it and have proximity work, all I have to do is wait 12 seconds, and as soon as I walk up to it, it'll work. So here's what it looks like. It looks really slick. What I've done since as well, I've added I've done the red tow hooks to kind of bring in the red GMC logo into the front. Really slick. I'm loving this truck more and more each day. Yep, and that is it unlocking without issue. And here's the interior. I know I didn't show you a really good image of the interior. So that's what it looks like so far. Steering wheel and just general cleanup is next. I got a couple of pieces that I need to fix on that the glove box over there. Window switches. But overall, coming together. And of course, front center console. Now, one of the issues I'm gonna run into is how to adapt the front center console in with this shifter. So I'll get it in here, mock it up, and see what it looks like. We'll go from there. I'm hoping not to have to cut anything to make it work, but we're all about fabrication on this channel, so it'll happen regardless. And I'm not sure what the heck somebody cut out a perfectly good headliner to do. So if you have any ideas on what I could use to fill that gap, please let me know. I was thinking additional map lighting, but the way that this curves, it's gonna be kind of weird for anything to kind of fill its spot. So if you all have any ideas, send me links, let me know. But if not, I'm gonna have to take it down, replace it, or repair it. And I really would want to just have it ready to go. But that's everything. Thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate your love and support. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye now.